If you have ever thought that glass dip pens felt too fancy or expensive to use as a beginner, well, let me just throw that idea aside and tell you what you need to know in order to create beautiful hand lettering with a glass pen. Hello friends, my name is Suzy, and in this video, I'm going to be telling you all about glass pen calligraphy, including my best tips and tricks for the best glass pen lettering, and talk about a couple of myths that I believed when I first began lettering with a glass pen. So let's jump right in. First, let me show you the glass pens that I'll be using today, which actually leads me to the first myth that I used to believe. Glass dip pens look so fancy and elegant. I was pretty certain that they would cost me a fortune, and boy was I wrong when I searched on Amazon and found myself these glass pens, which I love. I don't want to use the word cheap, but let's just say they were not expensive. I will link for you the ones that I have below, as well as all the products I'm using in this video, so make sure to check out the description box below if you see something that you want to check out after this video. So a glass dip pen is a pen that you use with liquid ink. There are lots of different options here, so I'll tell you some of my favorites in a bit. But the pen holds your liquid in these grooves at the bottom of the pen. You dip your pen into the liquid ink, or paint it on in some cases, and then you can write as the liquid flows down to the tip of the pen with gravity. I think it is so beautiful. So let's talk about what I think is one of the most important parts of hand lettering with a glass dip pen: paper. I mentioned that there are lots of different options for liquid ink, and which one you choose is kind of just a personal preference, but finding the combination between an ink and a paper that works well can be a little bit tricky. You could experiment with lots of different combinations to see what you like best, but if you don't have the time or budget for that, let me just tell you what I have found to be some of my favorite combinations. For ink, two of my favorites are liquid watercolors and fountain pen ink. For liquid watercolors, I personally like the Eloise liquid watercolors the best, but this Dr. P.H. Martin's liquid watercolor is also a fun option. But generally speaking, you're going to look for a type of liquid ink that's more like the consistency of water versus when we're using a pointed calligraphy pen, we're looking for like milk or cream. If you want to try out some other options, that's just what I would kind of look for. Now, if you are wanting to try out some more, a couple other options you could try is like pointed pen calligraphy ink, but that can be a little bit hard to get off of your glass pen, so if you don't want to spend a lot of time cleaning it, that's something to consider. You could also try a watercolor that you have to paint on. This one is not my favorite because honestly, there are just so many other good options that the difficulty of this one just makes it a no for me. I would also probably steer clear of inks that are too shimmery because shimmery inks seem to get clogged and just not really flow well with a glass pen. So let's talk a little bit more about paper. Another thing that I used to think was that you could just use whatever paper you wanted, and I love HP Premium 32 paper. But one struggle you may find with that type of a paper is feathering. This is when the ink kind of starts to spread out from where you've written. It makes your lettering look a little bit fuzzy, and that's what you see here with the HP Premium 32 paper. So to prevent this, we just need to make sure that we have a type of paper that can handle the specific type of ink that we're using. So for me, I like to use Canson watercolor paper with my liquid watercolors. This paper can hold watercolors because, well, it's meant for watercolors. You guys may know that I love smooth paper, and this really isn't that smooth. But I do find that it helps me to create beautiful looking letters with liquid watercolor. You can kind of see a little bit of the detail from the liquid watercolors drying, and I just love it. Now, another paper that I do like is Vellum. Throughout this video, you will see me use Vellum with both the Ecoline liquid watercolors and with my fountain pen ink, but here I am using fountain pen ink. I just think the look is so pretty. Vellum just feels kind of fancy to me, so I think it pairs well with fancy glass dip pen hand lettering. Now let's talk about the styles of lettering that you can create with a glass pen. This is a monoline style of pen, which means that our stroke is going to be the same thickness all the way through because this pen is not pressure sensitive. That being said, I don't really recommend you press hard because it is a glass pen. So we basically have two options when it comes to hand lettering with this pen: monoline or faux calligraphy. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I kind of prefer monoline hand lettering to faux calligraphy. This is just a personal preference, and it has definitely changed over time because faux calligraphy is what I first used to learn how to hand letter, and faux calligraphy is definitely what you'll want to use if you're trying to create that brushed lettered look with a glass pen. So yeah, neither are bad. I just really love the look of monoline hand lettering. In this clip, I'm using the Eloise style of hand lettering worksheets that I created, and if you're wanting to grab these, I will make sure to leave a link and a discount code in the description box below. These are a really fun monoline script style that feels kind of minimal and modern to me. And if you already have these worksheets, let me know if you have ever tried them with a glass pen. I think this might be the first time I've used these with a glass pen, and I actually had a lot of fun with it. But if you're not looking to use your glass pen for script and want to just practice using it for your everyday writing, that can be another fun option. You don't have to only use a glass pen when you are doing something fancy. I am using the Suzy worksheets here, which is my everyday print handwriting style. And again, I will leave a link and a discount code below if you want to grab these. The vellum paper is what I'm using to letter on, and it kind of doubles as tracing paper for when I'm using worksheets. One thing to mention about the vellum paper is that when it does get a lot of ink on it, it kind of ripples up a little bit. So if you are using vellum and you're planning to hand letter all the way down the page, I would probably just add a border of some washi tape just to keep it kind of flat when it starts to ripple a little bit. I just held it down with my hand, which was okay, but I didn't actually go all the way to the bottom of the page, so I might have struggled a little bit more if I did. So one of the things that I love about lettering with a glass dip pen is how long it lasts before you need to dip the pen again. Now I've had this pen for a while, but if I remember correctly, I don't think that it felt that way immediately. But once I got the right paper and ink combination, I discovered that it really can last a long time. You also may find that there's like a certain angle that your pen really likes. Sometimes it's just a matter of adjusting the angle of my pen or rotating it, and then I get that nice ink flow. If you can't tell, I really enjoy using a glass pen for hand lettering. So did I miss anything? I hope not, but let me know if you have any questions about glass dip pens in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in my next video.